Then I'll begin. Everyone nodded and watched Bella's every move. Grandfather was lying in bed like this, grunting his understanding of Aunt Natsuhi's daily report or whatever. Bella lay down on the bed himself. If it still mattered now, Erika grumbled about disturbing the crime scene, but no one listened to her. Then I stopped answering and sleep. Well, realistically speaking, I probably get tired of all that talking and only pretend to be asleep.
You really do get it.
I see that father has gone to sleep. Bow silently and leave. Natsuhi lowered her head to Bella, who was still lying down in the bed, and turned around. Then she started wandering around as though doing an inspection of the room. After seeing that grandfather was asleep, Aunt Natsuhi probably did an inspection of the room before leaving. Of course, she had Shannon-chan and the others clean it every day, but she still checked it thoroughly herself, making sure there was no dust piling up, making sure he hadn't run out of any consumables. Yes, this is the room of the precious family head, so I check everything carefully myself instead of relying entirely on the servants. I always do that. That's true. Madam usually checks things very carefully. Her inspections are very detailed, and she even checks all of the consumables in the washroom one by one. In other words, we aren't just talking dust on the windowsill, like you see all the time on TV. She checks to see that there's enough soap and toilet paper in the washroom. Though she probably doesn't have to do it each day, she's very devoted. That is my routine. I mustn't slack off in my inspection of the head's room for even a single day. So what's your point? Please keep any showing off to a minimum. Isn't getting to show off the biggest perk to being a detective? You should know. But I'm the detective. Since we're inside the study, you can probably tell, but even though we call it a study, it wouldn't be wrong to call it a second house inside the mansion. It has a sleeping room, a study, a washroom, and even a toilet and bath. In other words, it isn't a single room. You could call it a full house. Thank you for the explanation of the room's layout. However, the move of having him hide somewhere in this room has already been defeated. He isn't hiding, however there's got to be several blind spots. For example, if Aunt Natsuhi went into the bathroom to check the amount of toilet paper, most of the study would be outside her range of vision. In other words, for almost every location in the study, the sole observer would have disappeared. Observer disappearance. We've lost track of Kinzo. Let it be said that the witch's darkness is filling the study.
Excellent. Watch as it fills with the power of darkness.
So, if Natsuhi goes away, so what? What next? When grandfather noticed that fussy Aunt Natsuhi leaving, he got up. Why?
On a twisted night such as this, what better way to enjoy a drink than bathed in twisted weather under the night sky?
Since Aunt Natsuhi is in the blind spot of the bathroom, it becomes possible for grandfather to walk about the study at will. It was possible for him to move without Natsuhi's knowledge. It was possible for him to move without contradicting what Natsuhi knew. Warning, battler is approaching the study door. Allow me to speak. A noise rings out when the lock on the study door is released. Know that you cannot leave through the door without Natsuhi thinking something was odd. Because Battler had acted as though he was heading for the door, Gertrude, who was sealing the door, immediately sent out a warning. Maybe it was possible for him to leave the study while in Natsuhi's blind spot. However... That's right, there's the sound. We know there's a loud sound when the auto lock is released. Even if Natsuhi was in the blind spot inside the study, she wouldn't miss hearing that. Of course she'd find it odd. Allow me to speak. Let it be said that Natsuhi did not hear the sound of the door opening while in the room. The washroom and toilet are very close to the door. Even if they hadn't been, that auto lock would always let off such a massive sound. She'd be able to hear that sound no matter what. Natsuhi had already spoken with Erika and the others about the details of the previous night, making it quite clear that nothing out of the ordinary had occurred. Any argument that relied on Natsuhi failing to hear the lock wouldn't work. Please allow me to speak once more. Kinzo entering or exiting through the door will not be permitted. Let it be said that this is a useless struggle. It is foolish. It's true I can't break through the red of that girl by the door. But what about you over there by the window? Turning his back to Gertrude, who claimed that leaving through the door was impossible, Battle locked his gaze on Cornelia, who stood in front of the window. Make sure you hold that barrier of yours up tight, because you're gonna be blasted away, okay? By now Bella's target was clear. It was Cornelia. It was the window. Who was going to smash this closed room from the window. Not expecting to be chosen as the target herself, Cornelia was overawed for just a second, but she quickly regained her composure. On rare occasions, struggling, fleeing witches would directly challenge the barriers Cornelia set up. Such witches were always fighting desperately on the brink of death. Please allow me to speak. You are Battler's target, Cornelia. I ask that you be on your guard. Fool! God, have pity on this foolish lamb. I'm no sheep. The head of the Shidomiya family is an eagle with one wing. Don't think you can keep me shut up in the study forever with just a flimsy window like that. Starting from a low posture, both silent and supple, Battler ran forward like a white leopard. This guy couldn't possibly... Hold on, sorry. Mean to. This is... Allow me to speak. There's no way to defeat my red. Know that your wish will not be granted. Cornelia thrust out both her arms and made a sign. When she did, a red barrier close in front of Battler. Know that your course is a fruitless one, Ushidomiya Battler. Know that this window is sealed from the inside, and Natsuhi did not help Kinzo escape. I'm not saying that Natsuhi helped grandfather escape, but what if grandfather snuck out, keeping it a secret from Natsuhi? Why would Kinzo go out the window on his own?
What better way to enjoy a drink on a twisted night than leaping through the wind-swept skies?
But this is the third floor, right? It's impossible. Even you've jumped down a flight of stairs at least once in your life, right? 3 stories is nothing for Kinzo.
I wouldn't put it past him.
I certainly wouldn't. That's ridiculous. Blue cracks appeared in Cornelia's red barrier, and it shattered with a crisp sound. It was all far too quick. It looked almost as though she had gotten out of the way herself in fear of Battler. Endless 9! Magic resistance power, Endless 9! Cornelia-sama, you can't block it, retreat! At the same time the barrier shattered, the window behind Cornelia's back was flung open. The curtains fluttered for just an instant. Though it was all filled with rain, the heavens in the courtyard were spread out in front of them, a fitting exit for an eagle leaping from this closed roof. Cornelia, repair the barrier. As you wish, commanded Lenor. Know that you will not be allowed to break this. Cornelia quickly returned to her senses and set up another red barrier. However, this was her last one. Please allow me to speak. Let us accept for the time being that Kinzo escaped through the window. In that case, how did he lock the window, which cannot be locked from the outside? The window was locked from the inside. Well, maybe Natsuhi.
Useless.
Maybe Natsuhi then returned to the study, saw that the window was not properly locked, and locked it. Yeah, it's all useless. Kinzo and Battler grinned. That's pretty cool. Did she think this feeble red could block the charge of Battler and Kinzo, the 2 family heads? After grandfather jumped out the window, Aunt Natsuhi probably noticed a slight draft. She then approached the window, realized it was wide open, and quickly closed and locked it.
Natsuhi couldn't have imagined that I'd slip out the window.
Yeah, so it's only natural that Natsuhi thought Kinzo was sleeping in bed. Now that Battler had found the answer, the red barrier was more fragile than thin glass. The red magical wall of certainty had been smashed against so easily that it disgraced the name of certainty itself. Unbelievable, right? The barrier was more firm than anyone would know had ever used against Jessica, and yet it had been destroyed so easily. Though Battler was rushing fiercely and had almost reached Cornelia, she didn't step aside. Her steel spirit, worthy of the name aRdW, didn't allow her to step aside. She took a charm from her pocket, placed it against the thin air, and made a sign. Then not red, but blue burned there. Though it was far more frail than the red barrier, it was her last method of resistance. You won't get through, you won't. Let me speak, let me speak. Be that as it may, this is the 3rd floor. How could a wingless human escape through the window? Know that you won't get through, you won't.
Just quit your whining and watch. This is the answer.
Battler jumped. He burst through Cornelia and her blue barrier, knocked them away, and his body flew out the window through the darkness of the rainy sky. Pretty cool song. Why did I get an achievement for that? The fragments of the blue barrier scattered, beautifully adorning the surrounding air. The closed room had been smashed open. Battler flew out of the mansion, through the sky above the rainy courtyard. All the raindrops became small round gems and were scattered through the air. Battler flew across the treasure box world of the exquisite stormy sky, through the countless gems of rain that filled it. In the sky over the world, frozen in time, Lenor and Battler faced each other. If Battler, who had smashed and flown out the window, was like a knight leaping over a white horse, then Lenor was another knight who floated in the air waiting for her. In the air above the courtyard, surrounded by the Ushidomiya mansion and frozen in time, the true new head of the Ushidomiya family and the disciple of heaven who would test and crossed path. Well done. When you fall into the courtyard, whether you live or die, it won't change the fact that Kinzo could have defeated this closed room. You who have thrown away your life and jumped are a martyr. Well done, you have smashed our closed room barrier. Splendid, Uchino Mia banner. However, I am the head inquisitor of heresy, Renner Anox. I cannot allow you to escape from under my nose. Now at the end, allow me the honor of crossing swords with you. Sure, bring it on. This game is surprisingly unrelenting. In this world, where the gems of rain fell slowly like large snowflakes on a snowy field, Lenner and Battle slowly crossed paths. It seemed slow, and yet it happened in a flash. Their gazes crossed and clashed like lightning. Night confronted night head-on, and everything would be settled with a single strike. Blue and red crossed paths. Was it shown beforehand that a blind spot existed within the study for Natsuhi? If it wasn't shown, this theory will not be permitted. Nox's 8th. It is forbidden for the case to be resolved with clues that are not presented. Leonard's double strike with both the blue and red blade reached out to slice Battler, and failed. Those longswords, which had never lost over the course of 100 battles, cut through empty air. When we entered the study, its structure was clearly described. Too bad for you. For the first time, an expression showed on Leonard's face. It was a sudden smile. She had known about that long before. However, she still couldn't let him escape without attempting that single strike. Not even with her reputation as an Inquisitor of Heresy on the line. She still crossed swords with Battler, even though she knew it would fail. Yes, I knew. But your answer of Nox's 8th is not violated. Here it comes. No hard feelings. Yes, come. In Battler's hand was a blade that shone red. That blade etched out the red truth. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that Kinzo's study was a small villa he had created inside the mansion. A study, a library, a place to sleep, and a bathroom and a washroom. It was divided into multiple rooms. That has already been shown, and it suggests that there could have been a blind spot somewhere within the room. Without any mercy, no, without any reluctance, which would have been dishonorable, the sword of red truth cut into Lanner. It cut a beautiful hemisphere through the countless gems of rain that filled the sky. Well done. Time exploded into life. Both of them fell through the courtyard. One drifted down, the other tumbled through the air. Then there was a soft sound and a dull thud. The first was the sound of Battle landing gently in the courtyard. The second was the sound of Leonard crashing down. After crouching down for a while, Battler slowly stood up. Though he had jumped down from the 3rd floor, he had landed as lightly as though he had merely jumped over a fence. Battler! Beato leaned out of the study window looking to see if the supposedly wingless Battler had landed safely. Beato, come on, jump. Huh? That window is our way out, so jump. You aren't the kind of witch who can be locked up inside a closed room, right? The study was no longer a closed room. She could jump from here, escape from here. By now, the closed room that had threatened to capture the witch and suffocate her had been destroyed. Yes, you too, Kinzo.
Go. From the moment Bella showed his answer, my spirit had already escaped from this room.
Kinzo form became a cloud of gold butterflies and disappeared. The closed room barrier had dissolved, and the power that denies magic had scattered. Beato ran towards the window. That was the only exit from the closed room of this witch hunt. After glancing at the Cheester sisters, the subordinates of the Inquisitor of Heresy, she readied her wound-covered body and ran towards the window just like Battler had done. She looked like Cinderella, running as she heard the bell toll. There's no way we'll escape, Beatrice. Illusion of the witch. Erika flew at Beato, trying to latch onto Beato as she dashed, but it was like trying to catch smoke, and she landed face first on the floor. There's no way a human could catch a witch. For one such as her without love, even touching Beato was impossible. Cheester corpse! Shoot the witch! Shoot her dead! Alignment conflict, unable to fire. Allow me to speak. I have no barrier prepared that can block Battler's blue truth. Both Cheester 00 and yet who dare spoke with unbelievably calm voices. No one can stop them. Not Battler, not Kinzo, not Beatrice. If these guys manage to escape in my closed room, my theory, the detective, Furo to Erika. Erika crouched, screaming and clutching at her head. The Great Golden Witch isn't going to be defeated by something like that geezer's scrubby study. It's still just the first Twilight. I'll teach these newcomers that your game isn't that easy. Just like Battler, Beato also flew. She drifted down through the rain treasure box world into Battler's chest. Battler caught her with both arms as though catching a feather from an angel. It was like a knight catching a princess who had been locked up in a tower, like a beautiful picture of a scene in some fairy tale. Crap, I think I'm in love. All these Shidomiya family has like this? If you were to write down the unprecedented feats of Shidomiya Kinzo, you would probably have an uproarious tale longer than all the grimoires and the stunning put together. It seems the tale of the next set would be worth writing down as well. In fact, it already is being written. It's already a very, very long tale. The demons giggled on top of the roof, holding umbrellas. Then they quietly looked down over the two in the courtyard. You're not bad at all. I guess all your games have toughened me up. In shock, Beato actually praised Battler as he held her in his arms. Battler laughed in his usual carefree way. This is impossible, impossible. Erika looked down from the window and clenched her teeth, still clutching at her head. Still holding Beato in his arms, Battler grinned back. Erika, what? I'm not giving the riddle of the Golden Witch to you. I will solve it. That riddle belongs to the two of us. Right, Beato? Indeed. My riddle is you. Oh, yo. When Battler laughed evilly, Beato's face turned uncharacteristically red, but even so she spoke while laughing loudly. My riddle is yours. Yours alone, Shidomiya Battler. I won't let anyone else solve it. Listen to her saying something like that. Battler snorted, amused that Beato had said something so out of character, and still holding Beato in his arms, he spun around in a kind of waltz. The falling gems of rain celebrated their victory over this trial. He jumped down from the third story, and he's alright. He jumped down and escaped from the closed room. This is ridiculous. This isn't reasoning. It's insane. If Battler had at least been seriously injured and writhing in the mud, Erika might still have had some ground to stand on. She might have been able to claim that Kinzo couldn't have jumped down with his old body and gone away unscathed. However, Battler stood calmly in the courtyard, looking up at Erika with the dignity of the victor. Everyone, I'll ask one more time. This is impossible, right? There's no way a human could jump down from a third story and land unharmed. Isn't that right, everyone? Much less Kinzo-san jumping down from the third floor at his age. This isn't reasoning. Erika tried to get everyone's agreement and somehow turn things around, but their responses were no different from how they'd been a short while ago.
No, it won't be possible for Kinzo-san. I wouldn't put it past Father.
This is Father we're talking about.
There's plenty of crazy stories about that man. Something like this wouldn't surprise me a bit.
What? Is there something wrong with your heads, with your brains, people? At any rate, it looks like your closed room argument wasn't perfect. Not only the servants, but the family members also agreed. They all agreed that there was nothing strange about Kinzo jumping down from a third floor window. It's just who in the world is this Shidomiya Kinzo person? Well, I'll give you 60 points. Kinzo would have done it with a bit more flesh in his younger days. It needs some more tweaking. And how much should it be tweaked? Well, he might have jumped down with me in his arms. Got it. Next time I'll do that. If you think you can, just you try. Beato's voice grew very faint and she gulped. Then her body suddenly crumbled away into a cloud of gold butterflies. That was because many people had rushed up to the window and she was being bathed with gazes filled with the anti-magic toxin. Beato's body became invisible to them and melted into the air. So to their eyes, it appeared that Battler was standing all alone out in the courtyard.
Battler, you okay?
It looks like he's fine, thank goodness. I have to ask. In that case, for the benefit of those people in the study as well, deliver your final blow to me. Use your final Bluetooth to show how Kinzo escaped from the closed room of that study. There was no pain in Leonard's expression. Pleasure and pain never showed up on her face in the first place. However, she was only barely able to rise to her feet, using her longsword as a crutch, so it was easy to guess at how heavily she had been damaged. And despite a lack of an expression, you could tell that it was a loss she could accept. Battler and Leonard turned to face each other. Here I go. Yes, As though readying herself, Leonard quietly closed her eyes, but she still stood tall and maintained her air of dignity. This is my Bluetooth. The blue power gathered. Battler slowly approached Leonard. Then he faced the rainy sky and yelled out the blue truth. Shidomiya Kinzo escaped from the study through the window when Aunt Natsuhi couldn't see him. Aunt Natsuhi didn't know this unlocked the window. In this way, Aunt Natsuhi saw Grandfather go to bed, yet Grandfather was able to escape to the study without contradicting the lock of the window or the door sealed by the receipt. I have just demonstrated that it was physically possible for him to escape. Therefore, the spell is over. The blue wedge flashed through the corridor along with a blue bolt of lightning, roaring down towards Leonard's forehead as she stared up at the sky. Beato's game isn't forgiving. It's doubtful whether the classic patterns of the mystery genre even work here. Your swordsmanship isn't bad, but you ought to be a bit more flexible in your thinking. A massive blue wedge that looked like a pillar was above Leonard's forehead, and had stuck with its tip just slightly touching her. It didn't run her through. It made no mark larger than being poked with a pencil. When Bella snapped his fingers, the blue wedge shattered and became a sort of translucent gems. No, drops of rain that poured down over the courtyard. Leonard sat down in a dazed sort of way. Amidst the thunder and rain, the successor to the Rishidomiya family had faced the people staring down from the study and spread his arms wide.
Welcome to Beato's and my game. Welcome, Fururo Erika.
How amusing, Rishidomiya Bella. Good, surely good. I'll chew it to bits, this riddle of the witch, all the way deep into its guts while it's still alive.
Bella and Beato both looked calmly up at Erika, who couldn't contain her evil laugh.
This is good stuff. Erika, that was so lame. Lady Bancaster, my apologies.
That look on your face, it's so incredibly laughable that I'd like to smash it and put a frame around it. My double is so pathetic, lame. Bathed in the sneers of Bernkastel, a being who was like a mother to her, Erika was so ashamed that it looked as though she'd chew her lower lip to pieces.
Someday I'll definitely. Rishidomiya Bella, Beatrice, Rishidomiya Natsui.
This riddle is ours. I won't let anyone get in the way, Beatrice.
Yes.
$11. In the Golden Land, the quiet rain just kept on falling. In the arbor sat the sad witch whose eyes had lost their glint, and Blatlow. Virgilia could also be seen there. She sat next to Beato, knitting quietly. Lambda Delta's game had passed the climax of the first twilight, and they were taking a short break. Gazing out at the golden rose garden soaked with rain, Bella considered the present, what was to come, and what had happened so far. To Bella, the act of thinking was itself a battle. Even with the game stopped and Beato unable to speak, he could still keep on fighting. Virgilia suddenly stopped her knitting. Bella noticed it too, because though none should have been able to visit this rose garden, she had noticed a silhouette approaching. That's unusual. Not many people are capable of reaching this place. It's her. That silhouette, which walked amidst the quietly falling rain without so much as an umbrella, was Glenor. That was a spectacular garden maze, a splendid way to enjoy the roses. Why are you here?
It's been some time, Miss Beatrice.
No, wait, now it's Miss Virgilia, is it not?
Long time no see, Glenor. Come over here. We aren't ones to leave a guest out in the rain. Don't worry. She hasn't come to fight.
Do you know her?
She's one of my old friends from heaven. Oh, really? This really takes me back.
That is does. Miss Virgilia possesses a deep knowledge in heavenly studies. I have often argued with her over interpretations.
My many intellectual adventures with you were quite enjoyable. I'd like to do it again sometime.
Yes, let's do it again sometime. I'd love to fight with you again.
They used the word fight, but it didn't sound like they meant anything unpleasant by it. It sounded like something old chess rivals would say to each other.
Unlike Beato, it seemed Virgilia always behaved properly and courteously, so she had many friends in various other worlds, including both heaven and the demon world. Surprisingly, Lena was one of them. Lena, who had crossed swords with me just a short while ago, ducked her head like someone taking shelter from a sudden rain and sat in the seat Virgilia pointed out, like a guest. Is there any type of black tea you would prefer? Anything. Any tea you make is superb. Then how about some Darjeeling? Battler, Beato, would you like some more? Yep. Beato and I would like a refill, right? As usual, Beato didn't answer, but if you quietly gave her a cup, she would sip it from time to time. There was still some black tea left in that cup, but it had already chilled, so Velar asked for a refill for Beato as well. I have heard the rumors. How pitiable that Beatrice, the endless witch famous for her cruelty, has been reduced to this. She's no longer participating in the game. Lambda Delta is the one controlling the Beato that's on the game board. I know. However, she is the original master of this world, and you are the proper guest invited by that master. That is why I have come to pay my respects. On the game board, Beato and I met Lanner, but those were the game pieces of those witches. They weren't Beato and me ourselves. Is that why you went out of your way to greet Battlecun and Beato here? I see you're as conscientious as ever. That is my way of doing things. Greetings, Mr. Battler. I am Blenner 8 Nox. We play opposing roles, but it is a pleasure to meet you. Sure. How much you do me a Battler? Pleased to meet you. Greetings, Miss Beatrice. I am Blenner Anox. Beato. She's saying hi. She says welcome. Thank you very much. Miss Beatrice. The witch and the Inquisitor of Heresy, whose job it was to hunt witches, greeted each other around a tea table surrounded by the aroma of black tea. It was a strange sight. Virgilia made gold butterflies sprout from the palms of her hands and transformed them into a teapot and a can of tea leaves. It was a very witch-like way to make tea. Of course, she actually was a witch, so that scene wasn't particularly bizarre in itself, though I was a bit concerned about whether Lanner, an Inquisitor of Heresy, could watch such a spectacle. Do not worry, I am not so boorish as to complain about how my tea is served. Even though the tea is being made with magic, there is a tea set hiding in the shadows and Miss Virgilia is making us tea with it in secret. We interpret or judge that it was made with magic and it is written as such in the tale. That interpretation is allowed by Nox's Ninth. Oh my, I do believe the interpretation of the Ninth is such a delicate problem that it's viewed as a taboo even in the Great Court, even though it's just a personal opinion. If it became known that the head Inquisitor of Heresy said such a thing, he might be sacked. No matter what interpretation I record it with, there are no lies in the taste of your tea, therefore I do not worry about how it was prepared. Though she looked cold, she was a surprisingly tactful person. If Lennar were to deny that the black tea had been prepared with magic, this magic would surely be crushed in an instant. However, the possibility had been presented that a tea set existed and had been used to make the tea normally, so the fact that Virgilia had made tea was in the end undisputed. Magic that hides the result in darkness is evil. I will not permit it. However, magic that enshrouds the process is not necessarily evil. My foe is evil itself, not magic. I see. The important thing is that you're being served some tea, so it's just common courtesy to avoid complaining about how it was made. That's right. When someone makes tea for you, it's common courtesy to be grateful. There's nothing elegant about pushing your way into the kitchen and criticizing how they brew it. You don't invite your guests into the kitchen, and when you set the table, you should adorn it beautifully in the spirit of hospitality. Here you go. Careful, it's hot. Thank you. I would like some sugar and milk. You still can't drink it straight. I'm a kid. It must be sweet. So then, is magic a gentle lie? The word lie makes it sound bad. The word embellishment is probably more fitting. When giving a child candy, you can take a crumpled up one out of your pocket, or you can use some clever sleight of hand to take the candy out. The impression given by each method varies greatly. Well, yeah, it'd look cooler if you took it out with a little magic trick. Wrong. There is meaning in the fact that the result, giving them candy, has been adorned to be even more beautiful and fun. Think of when you give Maria Chan a candy. There's a huge difference between taking it out of your pocket to give to her, and slipping it into her pocket and saying a fairy gave it to her for being such a good girl. In my opinion, it would be boorish to then question everyone about their alibis and pinpoint. No, that's the other girl. Everyone about their alibis and pinpoint who it was that slipped into her pocket. The important thing is the result, that the girl received the candy and rejoiced, and it is significant that it was embellished in a way that made her rejoice. It's surprising. When you showed up, I got the feeling you deny anything that went by the name of magic. That is how I act in my capacity as an Inquisitor of Heresy. It is my job. However, when I am away from my job, I don't enjoy being quite so cold-hearted. So you set your personal feelings aside when on duty. You do it well. As an Inquisitor of Heresy, hunting witches is my job. However, I personally find witches pitiable. Despite this, I carry out judgment mercilessly as an Inquisitor. In the end, that doesn't change the fact that I sentence witches to death. In the end, my pity is nothing more than a useless embellishment. Whether I have it or not, nothing changes, so it would be better if I didn't. That's not true. Even if the ends are the same, what's in your heart makes a big difference. A big difference. Your mother's cookies are clearly more delicious than those made by a good pastry shop. It's because you know that they were made with heart. That's right. Even if the result looks the same, whether or not there's warmth behind the feelings of whoever gave it to you makes a big difference. Is that so? Whether I have a heart or not is completely meaningless. Leonard's gaze fell to her cup a little sadly. That's not true. After hearing all this, I've changed my view of you a bit, and that's why I'm certain the heart isn't meaningless. Virgilia was a little surprised to hear the words she should have said coming from Battler's mouth. After all, understanding the heart is the first step towards finding the essence of magic. By now, perhaps Battler has unconsciously started to understand, bit by bit, the essence of Beator, the essence of witches, and the very first essence of all, magic. Whether we want to become a witch or vanquish them, the very first step is learning about magic. Virgilia was sure that she'd felt this faint change within Battler. As for that last fight, thank you very much. I am grateful for the mercy you showed me at the very end. That me wasn't me. Lambda Delta was controlling him. I joined in on the 5th game partway through. I still haven't participated at this point in time, so until I do join in, the peace me is probably being controlled by Bernkastel or Lambda Delta. Just what kind of whim is guiding them? Trying to make it look all cool. They made me look like some kind of knight coming to save Beato. Lady Lambda Delta wants both witches and humans to be in balance, resulting in a draw. With Erika's appearance, the scales tipped strongly in the favor of the human side, so she manipulated the tale in a way that supports Beato. I am aware of that. However, pieces cannot do things that are impossible for them, and they specialize in actions appropriate to their original personality. Therefore, that was certainly something that Battler was capable of. That is why I am grateful to you. It feels a bit weird to be praised when I didn't actually do anything. After the game continues a bit more, I'll probably regain control of my piece. Not sure I'll be able to go easy on you then. It's the same with me. The next time we cross swords, I won't hold back. Bring it on, I'll be your opponent. Come at me with all you've got. I promise, with everything I've got. Lenore, I thought she was an emotionless killer doll without a heart, but maybe she actually is pretty approachable. Though of course, neither of us will show any mercy when fighting on the game board. For a while we gazed at the rain-drenched rose garden as we quietly enjoyed our tea. There is one thing I must apologize for. With a sudden sigh, Glennar muttered something. What is it? If it's about that fight a short while ago, it's already over. We both fought with everything we had. The outcome was just luck of the draw. No, it wasn't luck of the draw. I couldn't just let it be, so I came here to apologize. What are you talking about? You're saying you threw the match, aren't you? Virgilia spoke softly without hesitating in her knitting. That is correct, Mr. Battler. That Mr. is really awkward, just Battler works fine. Battler, I apologize. We did not give it everything we had. I know. Kinzo is dead at the starting time for all games. Beato has already spoken that truth. In that battle, Battler could only have achieved a draw at best. He most certainly had no chance at all of winning. You're right. If you just say that, the whole fight is already over. Why didn't you use that red? Don't tell me it was because of a stalemate or something like that. Nox's second. It is forbidden for supernatural agency to be employed as a detective technique. We cannot use that red truth directly. However, I gave Cornelia, who was protecting the window, the red truth that the window was never opened after it started raining. Boom. This checkmate. Why didn't that girl use that trump card?
This is... allow me to speak. There's no way to defeat my red. Know that your wish will not be granted.
Though she had fought calmly up until that point, she quickly got flustered when I dashed forwards. I thought she'd been frightened by my sudden attack, but the truth was different. Even though she held a trump card that could completely repel me, she suddenly became unable to use it and hesitated.
I don't understand. All of a sudden, in that instant, use of the trump card became
Forbidden.
Once we lost that, your victory was guaranteed. The game master, Lady Lambda Delta, probably interfered.
That bastard. So in the end, that whole fight was a farce in the palm of Lambda Delta's hand. She made us play out that entire act according to her script.
I do not like it. However, since you told me to fight with everything I had no choice but to let you know. Please forgive me. Still, even though you lost your trump card, you kept on fighting all out with your remaining cards. I don't believe anyone could find fault with what you did.
That's right. On the contrary, you should be mad at Lambda Delta for butting in.
Kenzo doesn't exist should already be an established fact. Lady Lambda Delta and Lady Bancastle should know this well, and yet they are both leaving room for Kenzo to exist as they continue in this game. It's almost as though the two are conspiring to prevent Kenzo's existence from being denied.
In other words, they intentionally let Grandfather escape.
Yes, they must be after something.
That is a bit odd. Lady Lambda Delta and Lady Bancastle should always be in a position unless the witch side is in a superior position. It's hard to imagine that those two are conspiring together at a time like this. Thought I heard something.
I can't help but think that they have some sort of wicked goal. I came here because I wanted you to know that.
So you came all the way here to tell us something like that?
Yes, which means that my business here is finished. I think I will leave now. The game will probably resume shortly. I must aid Erika during the rest of this game.
Lenore gulped down the last of her black tea and stood up.
Next is the Battle of the Second Twilight. At that point I will once again raise my merciless longsword, so I ask the same of you, battler. Show no mercy towards me.
I understand. If I went easy on you, I'd have my own head smashed in.
On the game board I am nothing more than Lady Bancastle's piece and Furoro Erika's subordinate. In the future we will probably stand across from each other as opponents many times. However, my heart is always neutral. No, please forget that. Such has no meaning considering the relationship between the two of us.
It does. There's no doubt you're a fearsome opponent, but you don't piss me off anymore. Though that Erika totally pisses me off.
Good. Furoro Erika also pisses me off.
Lenore's expression finally softened slightly. At the very last moment it felt as though we finally understood each other.
Furoro Erika is a very evil entity. She's lost face with her recent defeat and is burning with a desire for revenge. Even I don't know what she is planning. However, it can't be anything good. Please take care.
Just knowing she's Bancastle's piece tells me I can't let my guard down.
Lenore nodded as though satisfied, left the overhang of the arbor and walked out to the rain. To think I'd serve as a subordinate to such evil. Why was I called to this world?
Lenore let out a small sigh. Pieces can do nothing except fulfill the function they have been given. And that function is given to them by the one who controls them. She probably can't disobey her own player, Bancastle.
Lady Bancastle may be the one who called you here.
However, the one who let you into this world is Beato. If this child didn't wish it, you would never have been able to make it through the garden maze and arrive here.
Right, Beato? Miss Beatrice, what is it that you want from me? I do hope that I can help you in some way, though I may be a subordinate of evil.
She spoke to Beato, but of course there was no response. After bowing once more and thanks for the black tea, Lenore disappeared off into the rainy rose garden. So no one can reach this golden land if Beato doesn't want them to?
Yes, this child is the one who called Lenore here.
So Beato called her here so I could meet with her. However, I know of a person who reached this place despite Beato's wishes. It's Angie. In the last game, Angie reached this place by herself, even though she was an uninvited guest. That's true. Is that also something Beato wished for?
I am here, you are here, Beato is here. Leno was invited here. All of these things happened because this child wanted them to. Even the bit of time you and Lenore spent together drinking tea. Beato, what was I supposed to learn from her? Does it have something to do with finding your heart and letting you rest in peace? Lenore A. Knox, the natural enemy of witches, an inquisitor of heresy, a vanguard of mystery who denies fantasy. Is she here to help by gouging on your heart and choking the life out of you? Please stand. On one leg. Cornelia slowly got up and stood on one leg as she had been ordered. Her hands were clasped behind her back, because she had been ordered to do so. Then with a thump, Erika pushed her from behind with both hands. Well, isn't she, pleasant character? Cornelia landed on the floor face first with a thud. Please stand. On one leg. Cornelia rose shakily. Then once again she stood on one leg as she had been ordered. She had been ordered not to hold her ground, so she had fallen on her face over and over again. She had barely managed to protect her nose, but after smashing against the floor so many times, her face was bright red. She wasn't shedding any tears. No, she couldn't shed them, because she was forbidden to do even that. Please stand. On one leg. Yet another very mentally stable person I see. Please stand. On one leg. Erika repeated this falling torture over and over again. At times like this, Erika hated counting things, so she decided that once she ran out of fingers to count the number of times, she would just repeat it until she lost interest. However, Erika's main redeeming feature was that she never lost interest in anything, so the torture continued on and on. Erika didn't know why Cornelia had been unable to fully protect the window, so the whole time since then, she had placed all the blame of the loss on her. Please allow me to speak. Forgive Cornelia. She has already repented enough. Oh, is that true? Then please take her place from now on. Gertrude has done nothing wrong. Gertrude, please stand. On one leg. Clasp your hands behind you. Gertrude followed the order and clasped her hands behind her back, standing on one leg. You mustn't resist or hold your ground. You are not permitted to bend your knees. You are not permitted to shed any tears. Got it? As you wish. Gertrude! Erika made a show of walking behind Gertrude. She even enjoyed making her wonder when she'd push. At that time, Gertrude and Cornelia burst with a bright light and disappeared, because Lenore, who must have returned at some point, had sent them back to the heavens for the time being. Erika, who had had her fun spoiled, gave Lenore an openly malicious look. Miss Erika, I will bear the punishment for all my subordinates' faults as their superior. I ask that you let them go. No, thank you. Punishment only works because it causes pain. There's nothing interesting about an unfeeling doll girl that I can't leave a single injury on. Erika slowly grabbed hold of the back of Lenore's hair, tugging unrelentingly. Lenore's neck tilted upwards, creaking. You may not cause a physical injury, but you do injure. Huh, as if you had a heart that could get injured. You lowly witch-hunting murder doll. Are you trying to talk back to me? Me, the envoy and double of the great Lady Bancastle? No. I got scolded by Lady Bancastle because you guys are useless. Never fail so lamely again. Understand? The hair she had grabbed was stretched back as far as it would go, along with more creaking. This didn't cause Lenore any physical pain, but she could clearly feel Erika's ill will. My apologies. Forgive me. Filth. With a sound like a bowstring being cut, several of Lenore's hairs were pulled out. Then Erika waved her hand about as though trying to brush off something dirty that had gotten stuck to it. Well, that's okay. I'm done. My anger's finally set down and my little gray cells are tingling again. Please call those two useless people back and reconstruct the crime scene. Let's start the reasoning game. Understood. Gertrude Cornelia. As you wish. The two of them reappeared behind Lenore and reconstructed the crime scene for Erika, the one who had just been tormenting them.
Kinzel's disappearance was nothing more than a bonus round after the first twilight. Let's start investigating the first twilight itself. But before we do that, did you realize we were actually given a riddle before the murders even occurred? Yes, the letter with the mark of the one-winged eagle which appeared at 12 last night along with a knock by some person. That's right. The tale creates the illusion that the events of that instant would be impossible for any human, making it seem like an unknown witch exists. Let's start by crushing this illusion of the witch. We'll first check the situation in the dining hall last night when the letter was delivered. Understood. Gertrude, Cornelia, reconstruct last night's family conference in the dining hall. As you wish. The family conference last night was held with the adult relatives and butler, and partway through the servants had arrived to serve tea. Let's check everyone's location at the instant the letter arrived. How did that go again? Please allow me to speak. Before the family conference, Erika, George, Jessica, Maria, Nanjo, Goda, and Kumasawa left the mansion and moved to the guest house. Please allow me to speak. Of those who remained, only Klaus, Natsuhi, and Genji were in the second floor corridor, while all others were in the dining hall. Okay, this is getting interesting, so it's a good point to stop. I definitely want to hear more about their theory on who the hell put the ladder there and did the knocking, because I have no idea. But it's a bit past 11, and they haven't gotten too far into it yet, so I guess it's a good stopping point to also, yeah, be excited for next time. The character map. Yeah, I saw that as well. We have these, and we have these two. I'm gonna look at them next time, I think. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in this. As I said, I have no idea how. It must have been Genji, Klaus, or Natsuhi, right? But then again, we saw that all of them were occupied. Very blue on one side. That's true. Blue, 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 blue. Yeah, as I was saying, as far as I remember, weren't all of them occupied? It was definitely... No, Genji snuck up on them at one point. So it could have been Genji who put that there. But if that was the case, then who ordered him to? Why did he do that? I don't know. So at this point, my theory is that it is Genji, and next time let's see if I'm right or not.